All right, welcome in everybody to another episode of the Celtics Power Hour. Myself, KJ Doyle, joined by Ev Singleton. Ev, we're up to number six now. Number six on the Celtics Power Hours. We've been consistent. I know we gave ourselves pat on the back too much. I don't want to do it too much, but hey, we're back at it again on the YouTube channel. These are Tuesday's been our day.
It
For
has,
some
yeah.
reason I don't know what the NBA schedule makers were saying as far as like, you know what, the Celtics shouldn't play on Tuesday, but it's worked out nicely for us.
And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like last year, and I could totally be wrong. Like anyone could prove me wrong here. I feel like last year the Celtics played on like every Tuesday. I don't know why I feel like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's switched up. Again, don't quote me on that, but for whatever reason, I feel like I remember that last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it. Like they're not playing next Tuesday. They're not playing the Tuesday after that. Like when do the Celtics play on Tuesday? Like is this like going to be a thing all season? I need to look at a calendar now. Like when is the first Tuesday of December? Like
Hey,
are
it
we just
works
going to
for
go
us,
all
KJ.
season? I know. Like we might have to do the next two Tuesdays, and then I don't know what's going to happen when the first Tuesday rolls around, and it's like, well, the Celtics have a game, and it's going to be like, wait, what? Wait, we can't. That's not what we're supposed to do. Let's see. The 7th is a Tuesday. The first Tuesday. Wait, that wouldn't make sense, would it?
I mean,
All
I
right.
know why they don't play on Tuesdays. They don't have Taco Tuesday anymore. So there it
Yeah,
is.
it is funny because the Celtics do have a Tuesday game, December 7th. So it's coming up, but it's a 10 o'clock game. So we could theoretically still do it on a Tuesday. It'd be
Just before
about
the game.
4 hours before the pregame show, and then the pregame
True.
show goes 4 hours later. Like
Oh,
theoretically, I'm not saying that's what we're doing. We don't know. Oh wait, did I look at this wrong? No, I looked at it right. It is the 7th. Okay, so maybe who knows? This is month month. It's a weeks down the road right now, but we'll see. We'll find out. Weird Tuesday thing with the Celtics, but they don't play the Tuesday after that. So anyway, Tuesday's a good day. All right, Celtics Power back at it, and Ev. The leadoff thing we want to talk about today is just simply Jayson Tatum. I mean, the Celtics are playing better, but it's been weird. Jayson Tatum hasn't really picked up his play. And the Celtics, our defense has gotten better, which we're going to talk about. But the offense is now the problem, which it seemed like those things were flipped at the beginning of the season. And
yeah.
now we're talking about it in the reverse. And, part of it's Jaylen Brown's out, but part of it's Jayson Tatum, who this season, I posted it on Twitter, and 38.6 field goal percentage, which is bad, 31.6 3-point percentage, which is atrocious, 76.8 free throw percentage, which is also bad. So all his shooting numbers bad. And then it's funny because if you notice this tweet I had, the last little line, it says last in effective field goal percentage among 20 plus point per game scorers, right? That's pretty brutal. You know what's funny about that? I typed that in before I even looked it up. I
Yeah.
typed that in and I said, all right, I'm going to put this in here and then I'm going to see where he actually ranks. I'm not going to tweet it, obviously. It's not what I'm saying, but I'm like, just placeholder. I think this would be an interesting fact. Let me double check it. In my mind, it felt right, and it was right.
Wow.
He's last. So just off the top of my head, it proved to be true. Last in effective field goal percentage, Jayson Tatum is among 20 plus point per game scores, tied with. Do you want to take a guess? He's tied with somebody, but I want to see if you can guess who it is. It's someone we've talked a lot about.
Really? I literally
Actually,
don't even.
not a bad player, but yeah.
Just
Also
tell me. I
struggling.
honestly don't even know who.
Bradley Beal. Bradley
Really?
Beal. So the St. Louis boys not having a great start to the year.
Huh.
Interestingly enough, weirdly because Bradley Beal's team's actually been pretty good, but yeah,
Yeah.
the Wizards star also struggling shooting the ball this year.
All right. Well, I guess that's a good way of looking at it, I guess. But the Wizards and Celtics are in two different boats right now, which is, I mean,
Right.
you knew they'd be in two different boats, right? Like, I feel like that's fair. Like to say, oh, preseason, we knew the Wizards and Celtics would be in two different boats. These two different boats, I think they got on the wrong boats here. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
think that this would be the team that the Celtics are, and I sure as hell didn't think that we'd be seeing a Wizards team that we've seen this year. But yeah, Jayson Tatum, like, I don't know how anyone can deny it right now. Like, Jayson Tatum is struggling. It's a fact. You know what I mean? Like, if you walk into a room and tell someone Jayson Tatum's not struggling, you're the dummy in the room, which sucks
Yeah.
because, usually there's two ways of looking at things. There really isn't. And I will say, Jayson Tatum's had a few good games. It's not like he's come out all year long and been bad, but Jayson Tatum's supposed to be your star right now, and you should be having maybe once in a while one of those sort of you didn't have it tonight, right? We shouldn't be celebrating that. Oh, Jayson Tatum had it tonight, which we've done this year because it's been 2 or 3 games where he kind of went off. So it's frustrating right now, like to say the least. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. Like I feel still comfortable with him taking shots and everything like that, but how can you not say that he's been struggling? How could you not think that he's a clear cut sort, like look at the stat you just gave us, right? 20 point per game
Mhm.
scorers, he's last there. Like how could you not say that he's struggling?
Right. And to say that the Wizards are first in the East and that's what Bradley Beal's doing as well, it's crazy. Like
So
I
weird.
want it is weird because I feel like I almost want to say like, wow, imagine how good the Wizards can be if he starts, shooting well. But then it's like, no, it's impossible. The Wizards couldn't
Yeah.
possibly be better than
How
they are
much
right
better
now.
could they be? They're
It's
there.
insane. Like it's insane. So I don't know what's going on. Weird things are happening in Washington. But nevertheless, Jason Tatum. Now, obviously, not good from the field so far this season.
Yep.
And we already talked a little bit about it before the show, but you feel like that's going to turn around. You're not worried about it at all. The title says, "Is it time to panic?" Ev, your answer is a firm.
No, it's not time to panic on Jayson Tatum, but you do have to acknowledge it, right? So there's the two sort of things here. I guess there's three buckets you can put it into, and only one of these bucketed, I guess places here is correct. So there's the people, and they had him in the post game show, and I'm sure they're in the pregame show, and it's kind of like, oh my God, Jayson Tatum, like this is the player he is. He stinks now. Like I knew it all along. He's a Hollywood, prima donna, blah blah blah. All these people that have said that, that's where it's like, okay, you know what? Those are the people that are panicking right now. And then there's the other far end being like, oh no, give him time, he'll be fine. It's like, well, no, I feel like you're not acknowledging that he stinks right now, right? So I'm in the middle, and I think that's where everyone should be. That yes, Jayson Tatum, for what Jayson Tatum should be for this team, Jayson Tatum has stunk out loud this year for what he's supposed to be for this team. But, and it's a huge but, you can't just be like, oh my God, 15 games and whatever it is, Jayson Tatum's going to be terrible for the rest of the year. So my quote on the post-game show last night was guys, like I'm all for acknowledging that Jayson Tatum's having bad games, acknowledging that at times it looks like he might be even hurting the team, but don't get too deep. Don't fire off a million tweets a game. Don't, post in the comments here on the channel, because I have a feeling by halfway through the year and definitely by, the end of the year, all the people that were ragging all over Jayson Tatum, you're going to look like the dummies. Because I do think that, we're going off of a what have you done for me lately type of bias towards him, which is fine if you're talking about what he's done for you lately. Don't talk about the player Jayson Tatum right now, because I have a feeling he's going to make you all wrong for, absolutely shitting on him during the early year.
So here's the thing, is that I would agree with you if we were 5 games in. I would agree with you if we were 10 games in. Jayson Tatum's played 14 games this season now, and it's starting to be like, okay, like, what's up? Why are you still not seemingly turning it around? And last game was, don't get me wrong, last game was all right. I mean, it was better. I mean, I think the Celtics named him player of the game on their their Twitter feed.
You still want more from him, though. You want more from him. I know what is it, 23, 8, and 5?
23, 8, and 5. Yeah, no, 23, 8, and 5. Guess what? No, fine stat line. But we're talking about his shooting. And he shot 35% in that game. And he shot 25% from 3. Like, obviously worse than what it's been. So the shooting numbers aren't getting better. They're getting worse. And I'm starting to think, okay, when is he going to turn it around? Because at a certain point, if it's early in the year, if it's early enough in the year, it's like, okay, one good shooting game can turn those percentages around. So who cares? Who really cares? Here's the thing. Right now, if Jayson Tatum replicated his best shooting game from last season, his highest percentage, he was 13 of 18. I think that's something like 71%, something around that, like 13 of 18. Okay. So if he did that, he'd barely squeak over 40%, which is still not good for him. Like, I'm talking about on the year. No, so it's starting to get to a point where it's like, all right, even if you string together a couple of like your best games of the year, which is asking a lot, your best games from last season, like I don't see where the water seeking its level is going to happen.
Then I guess I mean, you're right. Like that's almost statistically I can't deny that, right? But what I will say is that I feel like, say Jayson Tatum now goes on what you just say like a 3 or 4 game tear, right? And say he that's water seeking its level, but it's like that just took a lot to get there. Do we really care about what happened before those 3 or 4 games, or now we kind of looking forward? Do you know what I mean? And I know you're looking at it from a numbers perspective, so I can't even say you're wrong or anything like that in that sense, but does it really matter that, okay, well, now he's shooting 70%, he shot 50%, he, shot another 70% game. Does it matter that he started the season poorly, or are Celtics fans, are you, I guess I should ask too, are you now on to bigger and better things, or are you still going to be thinking about those 14 first games, right?
Right. No, I mean, look, if the splits are better, then that's
Mhm.
different, right? Like if we, if it, like for your analogy, let's say we go through November and he sucks. Okay,
Mhm.
he stinks. But then we get to December and his December splits are 50% from the field, 40% from the line, and so that doesn't bring up his overall season averages to that level, but that's where his December percentages are at. Then it's like, okay, well in December he was superstar Jayson Tatum. So like then we can look at it and say, oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
Right.
yes, if he's playing that well, then you're right. Like the past is the past. Who really cares? Besides the fact that there are situations where you have to look at the whole season in its entirety and make decisions such as All Star votes, All NBA, and certainly it's affecting their record now, which could play a large factor in their seeding and stuff. So it's hurting them now.
Oh,
Um,
100%. And I don't, like I said, I think that I knew that answer what you were going to give before. Every Celtics fan out there should not, if all of a sudden Jason Tatum starts going off, and like you said, the splits were there, he's actually, playing way, way, way better. Who cares about the season average? But it is, I guess, worth noting, like you said, like that is going to affect All-Star, which again, Celtics fans, I guess, shouldn't necessarily care about that. Jason Tatum's
It's
growth,
okay to care
though.
about. This is something that
J-
I don't like. I hate when people are like, "Who cares about All Star? Who cares about this or that?"
because that
I
goes
care.
into
I care
Jason
about All
Tatum's
Star.
mind, right? Like another All-Star, he starts getting excited. Like I totally agree with
It's
you there.
not just that, but it's like I care about like making an All Star team because at the end of a player's career, it's gonna matter. When we go
Yeah.
back and look at players like for Hall of Fame and stuff like that, like how many
Yep.
All Star games do you make matter? It matters,
Right.
and so like
100%.
I think that players should care about that. I think it's perfectly fine to care about that. I think I reject the notion that it's unimportant. It is very important.
Right. I just think there's always the hardo out there that's kind of like, oh,
There is.
he's more concerned about playing in an all-star game than it's like, okay. Like, yeah, when you're saying that, you're usually, I guess, right. Like, we had some issues with that in the past with Celtics players, but it really is like people care about all-star games. That's why they have them, right? Like players care about making them. But in terms of the Jason Tatum, like back to what you're saying, you can't deny what he's doing right now. And the only thing that I guess I would totally disagree with what you said is that like the difference between 14 games and 5 games to me isn't there. You know what I mean? Like they're still in the exact same grouping. It's less than a month into the year type of thing. Like if Jason Tatum were to do this, halfway through September, I say once you get to, I give him like 5 more games, 20 games. That's where I'm like, oh, dude, we're like 25% of the way done with this season. And then I have like an issue with it. And I know that's pretty close, but I'm just saying there is a fine line for me between where he is right now in 14 games. I say that that's just as close to 10. But if he's still doing this at 20 games, or he hasn't had, out of the next, what is that, 6 more games, right? If
Well,
he
hold on,
doesn't
wait.
have,
Let me set an actual. Let me set the mark. Okay,
okay,
you're making your argument. Let me set the mark. You said in there less than a month. You said it's still less than a month. Okay,
yep.
you're right. It's still less than a month by 4 days. So that might be a
It
little
doesn't, it's still a
short. I'm
fact
just
though. I
trying to
mean,
be
that's a
honest.
fact. That's a
No, it
total
is. No,
fact.
it is. It is. It is. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I'm saying, okay. So let's see. So by 4 days. So between now and November 20th, which they started the season on October 20th. So I'll give you through November 20th. So that's 3 games. So let's just say this,
I'm giving
okay?
him 6 games though. Who cares? Who cares? The month thing doesn't matter. That's semantical. Like it's still
I
less
want
than
to
a
have
month.
fun. I want to have fun, Evan. You know what? Our next show will fall
Give
in this
give me
way.
a give
So
me a
yeah,
mark
I'll
that
give you. How about this?
we
I'll
can
give
do.
you 4 games. I'll give
Give
you
me
four
6
games.
games and we can do a bet like when you ate
No,
the
let's
peppers or whatever it was.
let's meet in the middle. Let's say 4 games because that's when our next show will be theoretically if
Okay.
we do one on Tuesday. Okay,
Okay.
so 4 games. All right, between now and our next show. That's tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. Okay,
Okay.
3 home games in there too. So the
Yep.
Celtics haven't been playing great at home, but let's just act like it's still a bonus. Okay,
Mhm.
you got the Hawks, Lakers, Thunder, Rockets. All right, so 4 games. You want to make a bet? All right,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to figure out the terms of this bet, but how about we say over this stretch? Well, I'll even make it. I'll try to make it a little fair. We'll come to a number, but Jayson Tatum's career, or let's just say last year. I don't want to go career. Let's say last year.
Tell me
Last
what you
year,
want.
Jayson
Forget his
Tatum-
numbers. What are you looking for? I'm willing to go just off your mind. What do you want Jayson Tatum? Are you going point? Like, are you thinking points?
I mean,
shooting
no,
percentage?
no, we're talking about shooting percentages. So I
Okay.
want to go shooting percentages. But I look, I want 50 and 40, but I'm not going to go there because that's a little lofty. So I'll say last year, 45.9% from the field, 38.6% from three. So over the next four, I'll even give you a little bit of wiggle room there. I want at least 45% from the field and at least 38% from three. And I forget field free throw percentage. Throw free throw percentage out the window. That's part of this discussion. It's part of the numbers I tweeted out on Twitter, but it's fine. We won't include that. Just the field goal percentages. So how do you feel about that? 45 and 38 over the next 4 games. Just don't, obviously we have to throw the rest out the window.
Yeah. I think those are fair numbers based on his career.
What are you willing to put on the line? What are you willing to put on the line?
I don't know. What should we do? We should ask the chat, I guess. So KJ, what's the bet that you have still now though? What's pending? What's pending for chat?
It's if the Celtics aren't 10-10 through their first 20 games, which looks pretty good right now for me. But if that doesn't happen, I have to eat a ghost pepper on the street.
A ghost pepper. Okay.
Yeah. 7-7 right now, so we're looking good, but we're looking like I don't have to do that. But sure, yeah. If let's set the terms. Chat, set the terms. For whatever happens over these next 4 games, the Celtics have the Jayson Tatum's percentages, then one of us will have to do something.
I want the push. By the way, I want if it's 40, so 45 that counts, and if it's 38 that counts. That's
wait. Okay, no, I'll give that to you. All right, but if
it's
you get that,
it's not a better than.
If you get that, then I want, if he shoots 50% from the field, but 37% from three, then I get that because he didn't.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, no, this has got to be a both thing. I will admit, Jayson Tatum isn't bad enough that you got to group it into 2 things. He's shooting 70% from the field, but okay, the guy's taking 8 threes and making 1 a game. Like that, I think that's. I'll give you that. I think that if we're willing to do that. So
so you can have the push, but if he gets one but not the other, that's not a push. that doesn't count as a push.
We got our first guys. What do you guys think in the chat? We'll get to some of this chat. I see it building up too. But first one says 2 Carolina Reaper peppers. I mean, we're talking about.
We have a pepper bet out there, already. Like I don't know.
That's true, Malik. Yeah, KJ might be eating a pepper.
Does everything we have to do be eating something? Like, can you just what if you had to wear something on stream or something? Like you had to wear I don't know, like a clown wig or something.
I mean, I could do something I like to do, but it hurts is shotgunning live on stream. I do that very rarely live. I mean,
something. We got maybe you go to you can go to Party City. The Halloween costumes are probably discounted, and you got to just buy some sort of crazy outfit. I don't know. I mean, I think that's the best thing I can come up with off the top of my head. It's got to be.
We'll let it stew. I don't mind the eating thing though. I like the
cut your hair. Turkish wants one of us to cut our hair live on stream. Turkish, what are you trying to do, man?
Loser must wear a pink cardigan. I don't know where to get a cardigan.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna get a pink.
I mean,
cardigan.
I could probably find one. Amazon.
Also, by the way, I don't know if I might just rock a pink cardigan. Not gonna lie, I feel like that would look pretty good. You have to unironically wear pink for a month. That's a lot. I don't have that much pink. I can't wear pink for a month. I don't own that.
Wearing the same pink cardigan over and over again.
Scotty says loser dresses a woman for stream. Turkish saying loser must get Laker gear.
Wear a Laker hat or something. Laker jersey.
Kobe for a week. I mean, maybe just for the stream. I don't know, who's gonna. You guys are gonna follow us around and bet that we're wearing it around for a week.
So here's the thing, though, too, because we get plenty. Obviously, we have a lot of the people that tune in, weekly and
it
stuff.
It should be something on stream,
I totally agree. That's why I'm going with the Lakers idea, because there'll be plenty of people coming in here, at times and whatnot, that will be like, what the hell? Why is this dude wearing a Lakers jersey? New people will get very, very confused.
What? Raptors 905 with a good one. You have to wear a Ben Simmons jersey. Is that a Ben Simmons 6 jersey? You know what? Are those on sale? Now that I think about it, can we check? Can someone check?
Oh man,
is the Sixers Pro Shop selling Ben Simmons jerseys at a discount? Because if they are, that might not be a bad show. Actually, and you know what? I know that I say that half in jest, but like also like they're probably overstocked. Like who's buying a Ben Simmons jersey at this point? You know what I mean? Like they gotta figure out a way to get rid of this thing somehow. It's not like any Sixers fans are buying any of them.
I Kyrie jersey. That's a tough one. That's
Greg
2
Kite
now for
jersey.
Kyrie. Guys, is it a Kyrie jersey? I mean, can I don't. I'm it's zero. By the way, I'm paying no chance. I'm paying full price for a Kyrie Irving jersey. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to, if or you. I'm sure you're in the same
Do you
boat,
think?
right?
And you know what? Hold on. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I used to obviously when he was on the Celtics.
But
like,
if we
used to
could
have him, but
I don't know if
where
it
that
would
thing
be
is
here
now.
if we were to order it or find it by next
Well,
week.
here's what
But
I'm wondering.
I'm
If
down
I
for that.
Wow, you know what? Actually, there's some people are shipping out used Ben Simmons jerseys on eBay, which I figured might have been happening. You have to assume, when you have Sixers fans like who are mad at him now, they're probably trying to get a couple bucks for it. So there's some used Ben Simmons jerseys for like $30 on eBay if we want to like I don't know.
Free expedited shipping.
Francisco saying is Brown playing tomorrow. I will say address this really quickly. He is not because he's still out. The Celtics still announced that he was out. All right. Loser has to wear a dunce cap on stream. I don't like. We're talking about this for a while. We only have an hour here, but
Yeah, so
I don't know. Keep them rolling. We'll give it some thought. Maybe we'll announce at the end of the show what we're going to decide to do. But those are the numbers. So let's say that happens.
I don't mind the I do like the jersey idea, because again, I think there's going to be people tuning in for the first time that are like, what are you talking about the Celtics for wearing a Lakers or a Sixers or a Kyrie jersey?
I like the Ben Simmons idea, because I also think, I don't know how you feel about buying a jersey off eBay, but I mean, we could get
I just found some on Amazon Prime
for
shipping.
How much? For how
$29.
Much? Wow. Okay, that is something. Like, can we vet this? Is this a full of adult size? Like, this isn't a baby?
I think that is part of the knock of being the loser. You have to now go on and scarily buy something off of a second party or third party, whatever you want to call it, on Amazon.
Okay.
Is that it?
Can you check the description? Because sometimes they have to say in the description, like, for sure, if it's like toddler size or if it's just a picture of a Ben Simmons jersey that they're selling you. Like, I don't know if that
large, extra large, everything like that, machine washable. I'm in. I might just get this for myself for whatever reason. Sold me with that product description.
Well, let's see.
We'll lean that way. We can keep thinking about it.
With used Sixers jerseys, Mad fans.
He's probably right.
Let us ship it. Yeah. Well, hey, that's part of being the loser, I guess. At least it's machine washable. So, in worst case scenario, you throw that thing in the washer before you wear it. We'll think about it, but we'll announce at the end of the show what we're gonna do. Back to Jayson Tatum, okay? Because we're talking about that's what we're talking about. But I also wanted to throw this out there because as we were talking about it, this popped up and I hadn't thrown it out there. Do you know
chat's probably like, no, don't get back to basketball. I want to talk about the stupid things you guys are gonna do.
Do you know where Jayson Tatum ranks in field goal attempts in the league this season?
No, but I have a feeling it's higher than it should be. Was it field goal attempts total or field goal attempts?
Total field goal attempts. Take a guess. Take a guess.
Top 10?
He ranks number 1 in the NBA in field goal attempts.
Are you kidding?
If I'm reading this right, which I believe I am, his basketball reference page. His basketball reference page has the field goal attempts in bold, which I'm pretty certain means that he leads the league. So, yeah, that's Jayson Tatum right now.
How about this comment? I like Francis saying, right next to Smart.
Yeah,
2 guys that are just like Huck City between this team.
And
so far.
By the way, also leads in field goal attempts per game. Yeah, 22.2 leads the NBA.
See, that's when I say, KJ. That's when I say, it's like you can't not acknowledge, right? Am I saying that right? You can't not acknowledge what's happening right now. But I just have to hope and cross my fingers and cross everything I got that doesn't say the case. And that's the way that I'm still leaning. So you probably have so many stats you can throw at me. I do say that sucks. It is what it is. It sucks. It's probably hurting the team. No, it definitely is hurting the team right now, knowing that. But it's like, is that going to keep going? Like, is that
with how he's shooting? Like, other players who are struggling, like Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's pretty high too. Bradley Beal's 5th. But like a guy like Damian Lillard, who struggled a lot this season too, like people have pointed that out, he's 12th which is still pretty high, but it's like for
Yeah.
him, for Damian Lillard, that's not as high as you might think. So I mean, number one with how he's shooting, and hey, is that the answer? Like, is it just about shooting less? If that's the case,
But that's the thing. I don't see. So everyone wants Jayson Tatum to take this leap, right, from last year. That leap really wouldn't come. And I know you could say, oh, he'll pass the ball more and blah, blah. But like what Jayson Tatum is a scorer, trying to take a leap from what did he shoot last year? 21 times a game, almost 26 and a half points per game. It's like, how did Celtics fans want Jayson Tatum to take that leap then, right? Like it is going to require more shots, which yes, he's only shooting a couple more than last year. But I feel like just overall, like you needed to expect Jayson Tatum to hit more shots. And I guess this is such a hypothetical. I
theoretically.
know
But
that
by the way, real quick, the idea, and I know the refs are being a little more stingy this season, but we heard so much about Jason Tatum drawing more fouls this year, and he's shooting less free throw attempts. So like
yeah,
the idea of taking that leap was, I think part of it was he's going to get to the line more, which a lot of the elite scorers in
true.
the NBA do. He's not doing that. Is it totally
True.
on him? I'm not going to go that far, but
No,
I'll
I
throw
know.
that
I
out
think
there.
that's a fair point to bring up. But what I will say, and again, like this is such a I know the answer to it, so it's I don't even know if it's worth bringing up. But in reality, if he was shooting all these times and not missing, like everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I don't know if it's the shot attempts, and I say that because it's not like I'm saying Marcus Smart's the one that's taking all these shots, right? I truly believe Jayson Tatum can. We just made a bet on it. We'll figure out what the punishment is, right? But like I believe Jayson Tatum can get back to legitimate numbers here and hopefully even it out, or just in general, I guess, like do it even better than he's done it before. So to me, I don't think I have a problem with him being number one. I do have a problem with him being number one based on how he's been playing, though, right? So that's how I started to react to that. I was like, that's when I say, okay, you cannot not acknowledge what he's done this year, because to me, that's a guy that I don't like him with the I can shoot out of it mentality. And I guess when I say shoot, I mean his shots. I think this is probably a whole nother rabbit hole, but his shot selection, right? Jayson Tatum's been having bad night after bad night, couple good nights thrown in there, but the way that he's trying to bounce back within these games and sort of get himself back into it, to me, it's not the right way. Like he needs to be able to say, okay, you know what? I'm going 1 of 8 tonight from 3. I shouldn't take that 9th one, because there's very few guys that can do that. You know, like Steph Curry is a guy, and I talked about it on the post game stream last game. That's the type of guy it's like, oh, what else am I going to do? You know what I mean? I know Steph's better at a lot of things, but if Steph's having a bad shooting night, do you know what he's going to keep doing? Shooting. Why? Because he's a superstar because of his shooting. Jayson Tatum to me can do so much else that I don't know why he goes down the rabbit hole of, oh, I got to shoot out of this. I got to shoot out of this. Another 3, another 3, another 3. It's like, dude, you can try and get to the hoop. And I know we just talked about fouls, but you can try and get fouled. It's frustrating because he has, and I truly believe it. Again, I'm higher on him than most people lately. But he has the ability to score in so many different ways. Stop picking the one that you are genuinely sucking at right now to try and do it in. Does that make sense? I was long-winded, but
Yeah. But what do you mean by genuinely sucking in? Like, I mean, because he's kind of struggling on all levels of scoring right now. It's not just one or the other. You know what I mean? It's not like
I think it's his shot taking right now, I guess. And at the beginning of the year, he had a couple good games where, you know, he was shooting 50% from the field in these games, still taking a lot of bad shots, but he would make enough that at the end of the day, you could say, bottom line, I don't mind 50% from the field, right? When I'm saying, you know, struggling or being terrible lately, it's the way that he's deciding to shoot it, or taking these shots, or shot selection is probably the buzzword here. His shot selection does not fit the way that he's playing. He's been stinking in terms of making shots, so why is he making his shot selection even harder? Get to the hoop, lay it in, possibly get a foul, dunk it on a guy. It doesn't need to be a step back 3 in, you know, a tall defender, lanky defender's face. So I think it's almost like a chicken before the egg. It's like the way he's been playing, but then you say that the shot selection and the percentages, it's like he's just in a never-ending cycle right now because he's not doing anything different to stop it. And I see in the chat too, Dabs is saying he loved Kobe, so he needs to drive like Kobe. He did. He's 6'8", so that's true. But I think Jayson Tatum's mindset of Kobe is I can pull up on anybody. One dribble pull up, you know, a step back, get to mid range and pull up, and it's like that doesn't seem like it's going to work. It's like Jayson Tatum looks like he always wants to make a cool bucket. You know, a sort of hey, like that was a highlight reel. It's like, how about 2 dribbles, 2 steps, and a laying off the glass, or at least try. And so that's my biggest point. It's like the shot selection isn't helping the percentage either. And then it's going back and forth because he starts getting in his own head about his percentages. And these guys probably can obviously tell how they've been playing. And he's continuing to do these shots, which is a bigger issue to me.
So let's let the man speak for himself. This was a few days ago, but here's what Jayson Tatum had to say. I think it's just as simple as I need to make more shots. I'm getting to the rim, I think. Uh, just trying to figure it out, along with myself and everybody else in the league, dealing with all the new changes, with the rules, to new coaches, to new teammates. It's still relatively early, but I think it's just a part of it. Everybody just trying to figure it out. Now, some of those new changes, Tatum mentions coaches and teammates. He's dealing with those, obviously, but I question how much that affects him in his shooting. The real thing that I feel like he's pointing to here that can be tangible and then say like, okay, this is what he's really complaining about is the new ball that the NBA is using, which a lot of people have claimed that Jayson Tatum is not too fond of, and the way that the game is being officiated now. So the problem is, as far as his struggles go, those two things aren't just going to change, like not overnight at least. If the NBA wants to change the officiating thing, they could do that, but it sounds like they're actually getting good response to this. So I feel like it's going to stay this way. And the thing with the ball, like that's a whole, deal with branding and, like that's a whole sponsorship deal, all this stuff. So
he needs to adapt to both of these. If these are the case, needs to adapt to both of them before they change. Like 1,000,000%. They're not going to change before he adapts.
Yeah, I'm talking about year-long things, like at least months. Like the ball is probably staying the same for a while. I know the NBA has experimented with different balls before. Maybe Wilson comes out with a new ball if enough players complain about it, and it's a different style, a different feel to it. But it's staying a Wilson ball. Like that's
has there been a lot of complaint? This is a genuine question that maybe someone in the chat knows. Has there been a lot of complaints about the ball this year? I know officiating has had some, like from fans' perspectives, and I think a lot of other people's, they like that. I know there's been some players that seemingly have been, victim to it. But in terms of the ball, have players been saying like they don't like the ball? I've heard like getting used to, I guess, but like.
So there was an article a little bit about the new Wilson ball. I think, let's see, Paul George and CJ McCollum talked about it. Let's see what McCollum said, if I can get it to it here. It is not the ball's fault. I missed shots. That's the shooter's fault, for the record. But CJ McCollum suggested players are still adjusting to the Wilson ball, since he will discuss it with the players this week to, quote, get feedback. So that's what CJ McCollum had to say about it.
I just wish that it was everyone then, right? So it's like I can't give. So I don't even know if this is where we meant to stop here, but like I can't give credit to Jayson Tatum's shooting struggles to a ball when there's plenty of other guys in the league shooting fine. And if it's the case, then that's like we were just talking about. He would need to adjust to it. Like I can't just be like, oh, it's the ball. Well, that ball's not going to change for a while. So if it's going to affect the Celtics, if it's going to affect him, we got to figure something out here.
So, I mean, sure, but there are players struggling. Like, there are other players besides Jayson Tatum. I mean, Damian Lillard's one, Trae Young was struggling at the beginning. Paul George, here's what Paul George said about it. He said, not to make an excuse or anything, then proceeds to make an excuse. It's just a different basketball. It doesn't have the same touch or softness as the Spalding ball had. You'll see this year, there's going to be a lot of bad misses. So, players are a little bit upset about this. Yeah. And, Jayson Tatum appears to be one of them. I haven't seen anything he said on it specifically. I mean, he talked about the changes, but, you assume that's what he's referring to. But, I don't know. I mean, like, we are not, like, I hate to say it, in terms of the ball itself, I feel like you and I could pick up a ball and sometimes, it'll feel different. Like sometimes someone has a weird ball where you're like, what is this? Where it's either really grippy or it's like really slick or something. And you're thinking like, what is this? I don't want to play with this. But I can't imagine the Wilson ball is that drastically different. Like a lot of basketballs, if you're going to the store and there's a whole row of orange balls, besides the ones that are really tacky, like for grip and stuff, most of them feel the same. I imagine to an NBA player that's different. This debate happened with Tom Brady and the footballs, right? When this was a whole thing of like, can you actually tell the difference between 13 PSI and 11 PSI and something? And like the average person couldn't. But, the NFL quarterback could, because he's held footballs for his entire life and it's been his entire livelihood. So he's an expert on the topic. Like they had Drew Brees do it, and Drew Brees could tell the difference, right?
Mhm.
So it's different when it's your profession, and it's different when it's something you do every day like that. I still feel like it shouldn't be this drastically affecting his percentages. I feel like saying it's just the new ball is a little much. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
uh, I don't want to say touchy or intricate, but something like that. That's just how delicate the game basketball is. I mean, you're talking about inches of really centimeters of differences between
Mhm.
makes and misses. So maybe that's the simple case.
So to me, and again, like I can acknowledge that, but my only thing is, well, one, if you're not if you're not if you're not getting used to the ball and whatnot, then you are still, like, we know you are still an NBA player, and in Jason Tatum's sense, an NBA superstar, that you got to figure out how to get used to it, right? And I will say this, like, he's scored, had plenty of high scoring games this year. It's like, well, did they use the old ball in those games, or is it possible that you can be good with this ball? Because if it's possible that you can be good with this ball, which I think we've seen multiple times this year, then guess what, buddy? Jason, you got to figure out how to be good with this ball, because it's not changing. So, and again, I think we're both like, we're not saying that he even directly said that that's the reason, but it is one of the changes. And it can definitely impact someone. But that's where I say to you, remember we were talking about his play, and I was like, oh, it's only been a month, blah, blah, blah. Getting used to a new ball, touching it, like what you should be, I guess, every single day, shouldn't feel like it's new after touching it 100 times a day after 30 days. And they use it in preseason. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be a new ball to him anymore. It's different than last year. Shouldn't be new.
I will say that I think there's the only exception to the whole ball affecting your game thing is like there's a lot of times you'll go to the park and play pickup or whatever, and you'll want to use your ball, right? Like everyone wants to use
Yeah.
their ball because they're used to shooting with their ball, and I was like, but other than that, like if it's five other people's balls, like despite the as we're talking about balls here on the show today, but if it's like other basketballs and you have like five to choose from, aside from the drastic differences, they mostly are the same. Like a lot of them are very, very similar. So how often have you had a bad game, you walked away and said, well, it was the ball's fault,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
very rarely.
So
So
I hope that's not in his head. And I say like in his head because I really don't necessarily think it is. I do think that it all comes back to, and I guess exactly what we're talking about, even if it's the ball, throw that in there just for a second more. If Jason Tatum's shot selection still stinks right now, it's like, well, dude, if you're not comfortable with what you are shooting, then make a better selection about how you can try and score it or how you can get to the hoop. Because, going 1 of 8 from three, isn't gonna cut it. Like a lot of those shots, weirdly enough, now I don't like him taking that 3-point shot as of right now. Like when he starts turning around, maybe, but those are now shots that you took away from the rest of the offense, which sounds so ass backwards because it's all we talked about last year with Marcus Smart taking shots away from Brown and all that. But it's like if Jason Tatum is throwing up bricks from three, then those are possessions wasted now, which sounds weird to say that he's wasting possessions, but based on his percentages, he is. So again, and if anyone missed it in the chat now, I've said at the beginning, like we have to react to I think the only way of being right about this Jason Tatum situation is acknowledging how bad he's been lately based on what he's supposed to be doing for his team, but recognizing that it will get better. One, because it can only get better based on what he's been doing, and two, because he is still Jason Tatum, and I think that he will turn it around. But the two polar opposites, or the ends of the spectrum, I should say, that's where I don't agree with it. It's people being like, oh no, he's getting a bad rep. It's the ref or the ball, and not like that we're saying that, but it's like no, he's also stinking. And then the other people that are saying, it's like, oh, trade him, he stinks, he'll never be the same. It's like, it's still a guy like this. We're comparing, what is it, 14 games, right? 14 games to what we've seen this kid sort of build towards and everything like that over the last couple years before that. So it's like, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for now.
all right, well, I think we've touched on this enough. Hopefully, just Tatum turns it around, at least for your sake. We'll see. I think we could probably say now. I mean, the Ben Simmons thing seems like a
Yeah.
fair
Let's
bet,
get,
and
let's just iron that out.
I think we should extend it though. I think it should be more than just the one show. So how about this? We'll say because people might know on this show even. So let's say
That's
this.
fair.
We wear it on this for one episode, and then you have to wear it on the post game show, or I have to wear it on the pregame show. And I'll even, because the post game shows go longer, I'll even say I'll wear it on 2 pregame shows.
Oh, that's tough.
And I am planning, like I haven't been on the pregame show a lot this year. I'm planning to
No, that's
to
fine.
return to it
Yeah, I
more.
guess we
So
roll with it. Yeah. So what? You're saying one show here, one pregame show whenever this bet's settled?
yeah, and I'll do 2 pregame shows, and you can do the one post game show.
Okay. All right. So then just to reiterate, so Jayson Tatum over the next 4 games, before our next show, technically, needs to average 45% from the field
Yep.
or better for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for me. And then 30, what was it, 38?
Yep. 38.
38% or better.
So if he just has one good game, I mean, we're talking about a 4-game sample size. So one good game could pretty much clinch it for you. Like if we're talking like if he
One bad game could clinch it for you. So
right, well, yeah,
it's
I mean theoretically, but it's small sample size, so it's
we'll
it,
see.
it could go either way. And he's kind of due for a great game, so who knows? Who knows who's
All right.
gonna end up?
All right, that is
Could
the bet.
go either way.
We'll do a Ben Simmons jersey.
All right, there it is.
Um,
So as far as other things to talk about with the Celtics, somebody already mentioned Jaylen Brown out. He's part of the offensive struggles too. I mean, the fact that they were going to rely on Tatum and Brown for much of their offense, and I wonder if part of the whole thing of Tatum shooting more and everything like that is because Kemba Walker's gone now. So Evan Fournier walked out the door. Not that he was here for very long,
mhm.
but there's less shots to go around. I mean, Dennis Schroeder came in, but like it wasn't like he was expected to take this role in the offense. It was kind of just by necessity. And Smart's been asked to shoot less, and it's not like Horford or Williams are shooting a ton. So it was kind of those leftover attempts were kind of left for Tatum, and especially with Brown out now. So I think that a big part of that is like, well, who else is going to be the one to shoot? I mean, it's easy to say just move the ball around and find the open shooter, and there should be more ball movement, and these two shouldn't be ball stoppers. But it's hard to play that way. As much as I'd like them to, it's not easy for not everybody is the Warriors for a reason, and it's just hard to have that level of buy-in and that level of ball movement on your team, and it doesn't seem like the Celtics are going to get there. So you're left with handing the ball to your superstar and saying, "Okay, make a play."
And that's why. So do you remember when we talked about, I guess, like the field goal attempts, I guess, total, and he ranks number 1 in the league, and he's been playing bad, right? I really don't have the issue with how much he's shooting. I just want that shot that we're talking about, like those shootings within the how much he's shooting, to change, like his shot selection. He could take more shots for all I care, especially with Jaylen Brown out or anything like that. He could take more shots if they are closer to the rim or at the rim. Like it's not a quantity issue for me right now, and maybe it should be because the quality's not there. But it's not a quantity issue; it's a quality issue, especially with Jaylen out. I think that just puts it on steroids. You know what I mean? So that really is where I come down to it. If I see Jayson Tatum, taking, say he was 1 of 8 last night, right? I think I have that right. I've been going off of it all show. If he was 1 of 3,
he was 2 of 8 from 3, but
2 of, okay, sorry. So yeah, it's just 25%. Okay, so say he was 2 of 8 from 3 last night, right? Say he was 2 of 4, just to give him the make. Hell, even if he wasn't, say he was 1 of 4, right? So keep the same percentage. Right. That's 4 more shots that are closer to the hoop. That maybe he was driving, maybe he gets fouled on those, maybe they're an and one, something like that. I know that's all kind of hearsay, but that's what I'm looking for. And people say, oh, that doesn't really matter. 4 more shots. What if he makes all 4 of those layups? You know what I mean? What if he gets fouled on them? Like, we're looking at a substantial amount of points that the Celtics could be missing out on because he's taking threes. And it's not just the open threes he's taking. He's isoing into threes. So it's like the shot selection is the problem. Not a quantity issue on how much he's shooting. It's a quality right now.
All right, well, let's talk about the defense because that's actually been a positive over the last few games. The Celtics have climbed all the way to 10th in defensive efficiency, so that's pretty good. Opponent points per game, I think we were talking about them being something like 27th to 28th, something like that. One of the last times we did the show and looked at the stat. 14th now, so again, they're climbing up the ladder a little bit these last few games. I think over their last 7. I mean, it's not as bad as it feels. It feels like they're still in the slog and the struggles and everything like that. And it feels like all this stuff with Jayson Tatum and their record's still 500. and yada yada yada.
Hmm.
But over their last 7 games, they're 5-2, and they have the best defense in the NBA.
Yeah. So
So, and you haven't had Jaylen Brown for a big stretch of that game. So, really, it's just about putting it all together. It just feels like it's impossible for this team over the last year and a half to put everything together, to put Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown's elite scoring on good efficiency together with a good defense. Like it feels simple, but it's been so difficult for them to do that for some reason.
yeah, and like I know this is a whole nother debate for a whole nother day, but like I hate that we always constantly have the debatable point of can Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown play amongst each other? Are these guys truly team guys? All these sort of things that talk about being able to, I guess, like what you said, put it all together, right? Like technically, this team putting it all together is those two guys being able to exist, which I think we've probably talked about before and whatnot. But I don't like seeing that all of a sudden the Celtics, Jaylen Brown's out. This is the problem. This I'll summarize it. Jaylen Brown goes out, and the Celtics go, 5-2 or something like that, and all of a sudden it gives just a little bit of
Credence. Yeah.
credence to people being like, oh, are the Celtics better without Jaylen? And it's like, but Jaylen was our best player before this. It's like this team's in a constant sort of headache state, I guess, and I was kind of talking about it on the post game last night. If we were to use that term that you said too, like it all clicks or it's all put together, right? It's like
Mhm.
we've said that for so long as Celtics fans. It's been
Mhm.
wait till we're healthy and wait till we put it together and turn it around, right? And it's like
Mhm.
we've made some pretty substantial changes this offseason. What is going, I guess, like what else do we need to change? Because then you're talking about some serious changes if you need to do that. So it's a little scary to think about because it's like it's always a little bit of credence based on what you're seeing to all of those sort of negative thoughts. Like the devil on the shoulder never gets flicked off or pushed away because every once in a while you get that little bit of credence of all the negatives that we've thought or talked about or debated and stuff like that.
Right, and like I have some hope. It just feels like because of the way this team has performed over that last year plus whatever however long you want to call it, it feels like expecting something good to happen is foolish. So they're 5-2 right now.
Yeah.
They struggled at the beginning because they had a new coach, and it's easily explainable away. You can easily write a narrative that this team it should be poised to go on a run, like that they were figuring a new coach. That happens to a lot of teams. They've now like turned it around. They had a lot of new teammates. They've figured out their rotation. Now over the last 7, 5-2, they're getting a star player back. Their offense is struggling. Guess what? They're getting a star offensive player back. Okay, 5-2 over that span. It just feels bad because they blew a lead to the Cavaliers in that stretch,
Hmm.
and it's like, oh, like they should have won that game. And their other loss came to the Mavericks on that Luka Doncic, shot. And then before that, they blew that huge lead to the Bulls. So their last 3 losses have been really, really bad and left a sour taste in everybody's mouths. But they beat the Bucks, they beat the Cavs the other night, they beat the Raptors pretty handily, and the Magic win and the Heat win were both pretty good. The Heat win obviously a lot better. So in this case, in the Jayson Tatum case, it's a little harder for me to accept. But in this case, I would still say like not. I guess it's not so much that it's still early, but like it was early and now it's not, and people are failing to recognize what's happened. Like this team has shown gradual improvement.
It They have, but it's been, I guess you kind of would take the words right out of my mouth there. Like not they haven't done it to like no. You think any NBA fans going, oh, respect to the Celtics, like they're back, they're there. Like no, they're still what a team that's in the 8, 9, 10, 11 range type of ball team the way they're playing. So yeah, 5-2 in this stretch, but it's always going to be a sort of like we're waiting until you are at the finish line. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
right now the Celtics may have got off to the slowest start in the race, right? And all of a sudden now they're passing people, they're running by, they're looking at them, they're starting to play better, they're running smoother. No one cares about that until all of a sudden you cross the finish line. It's like, oh, well, you won the race, or
Right.
oh, you came in second. So it's like right now they're in that part of the race where it's like, oh, that's like good, I guess, if you're really watching them and really watching this team play in and out, like you're following this racer or whatever. They just passed a couple people, they're playing better, but I don't think it's going to matter at all until some of the big things that we've seen. One, being towards the top of the Eastern Conference. 2, Jayson Tatum playing well, 3, Jaylen Brown coming back and playing well. Unless those big things are happening, I don't know if anyone's going to give a damn about them going 5-2 during a stretch here, even with, obviously a blown lead to the Cavs and then what looks like a loss, but a game where the Celtics could have won that game if Luka doesn't hit a crazy shot.
So Kaki really wants us to answer about when Jaylen Brown's going to start which game. Please tell me, Guy Boston. Please. This was the next comment. So listen, we don't know. The
Yeah.
Celtics haven't told us. They haven't been like, hey, guess what, guys? This is when Jaylen Brown's starting. This is what I'll say. November 8th, they said he was out 1 to 2 weeks. It's been 8 days. Okay, so it has to be coming soon.
And didn't he say that he wanted to play in one of the Cavs games? Or he said he was going to try and be ready for one of those games, but then it doesn't end up happening? I could be wrong, but I thought I saw that.
I'll take your word for it. But the idea is that it's falling within the time frame now of when he could return, right? The problem is that the fact that they're ruling him out a day before this Hawks game is not a good sign. It's not a sign that he's close. Like if he was close, you might list him as questionable for this game. So, maybe they're being extra cautious. Maybe they're not going to tease us until they're absolutely sure he's ready to go. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like they're all that much closer. So LeBron's returning for that Lakers game. That's what they said now. They said LeBron's going to come back for the Lakers on Friday. So I would like Jaylen to be back for that game. I feel like you have a chance tonight without him. You more than a chance. You played well in the stretch, so you can beat him. Then you get the Lakers fully loaded with LeBron. Like I'd like Jaylen to be back for that game, and I feel like in that one, you should have a pretty good shot. The Lakers are struggling. Then the Thunder and Rockets are two of the worst teams in the NBA. So as far as the Jaylen stuff, like I hope he returns soon, but there's no way to tell it. It feels very awkward, and it honestly. The way that Jaylen has been talking about his injury stuff too is that they want to make sure he doesn't have any long-term problems here because that's
hamstring. You don't mess with hamstrings too.
Yeah.
Like I think football players is a good example of it. Baseball players too. They're always hurting their hamstrings. Basketball too. I'm not saying they don't, but hamstring is one of those muscles that you think you're coming back from and you feel good, and then all of a sudden you tweak it again and it's 3 times worse because you just did it on an already tweaked one.
Yeah, Jaylen said this on the 10th, or maybe a little earlier than the 10th, but around there, right after he was ruled out. He said, it's getting a lot better. I think maybe a year ago before the season kind of shut down, I had the same injury. I'm not overly concerned about it, but I do want to make sure it's not an ongoing issue. So a lot of the reason that he's sitting down in the first place is like he could play through it, but you don't want this to turn into something that worse than it is. So either they're trying to manage it right now. They're trying to say, all right, well, we don't want you out there for games 15, 16, 17 if it means that you're going to be, gone for the playoffs like he was last year, which was unrelated to his hamstring. But, just saying that, those games at the end of the year are more important than these. So they don't really have much of a choice. And I hope he returns soon, but it sounds like they're going to proceed with all the caution in the world that unless he is feeling great, they're not going to feel good about putting him out there.
Which, I mean, could you be mad about it? Like, we need wins now. Like, yeah, no kidding. But if Jaylen Brown's going to be injured at the end of the year, it's like whether or not you think you're going to be there or have a chance at the end of the year and sort of any series or anything like that, it's like, no kidding. Like the Celtics are not going to just be like, let's risk the end of the year for right now. Like they are going to make sure that's totally shored up and good to go, which again, hamstring injuries are very, very touchy.
And then Meat saying, what is Robert Williams' injury situation? As far as they're reporting, it's a sore knee, but it does feel like there's been some tentativeness or, like there's been some withholding of information potentially on this Robert Williams thing. Like we keep seeing it pop up in the injury report, but it feels like we're not hearing a ton about this.
They're always saying it's that tendinopathy, which I'm pretty sure is just tendonitis, which that doesn't go away unless you have like extended rest.
Right. So it feels like they're being intentionally vague about all of this stuff because they don't want people to panic about the status of Robert Williams after they just gave him that big extension, mind you.
Yeah, I mean it's that's tough because everybody, and I mean I know you do too for sure, wants this kid to be so good. Why? Because he looks so good at times, right? But then it's like when I talked about the credence and everything like that, it's like anyone that's been like, oh, Rob Williams is always injured. Rob Williams is not going to be worth the money because he's always injured. Rob Williams is always bumped and bruised. He's always out. It's like, talk about giving credence to naysayers. He seriously does. Like every once in a while, it's like, oh, sore knee, won't come back this game. Maybe missing next game. It's like always these sort of these wear and tear injuries, if I were to phrase it like that, right? It's like, yeah, he's had injuries, but it's like, it's not like a Gordon Hayward situation where it's like, yeah, no one's saying anything about him being injured because we saw his foot snap, right? I'm talking, I guess, prior to when he, I guess, came back and then was kind of like a China doll. But Robert Williams, it's like, how can anyone argue when someone says, oh, he's not going to be worth the money because he's always injured? There's no ammo to come back at that right now. All you can say is it's similar to the Jayson Tatum thing right now, right? And at least I have last year to be like, oh, well, I think he's going to bounce back. But Robert Williams, it's like he still hasn't proven that health card. And it sucks because all I can say is, oh, well, I hope that he's going to. And I hope he's going to pan out. And I think that he can. And I think, I believe in him. All that means absolutely nothing to the actual reality of the situation. That's just my opinion, which, again, sucks because in terms of who's right now, it's all the people that say Robert Williams is always injured. Because guess what? He's always injured.
So the next 4 games, which we've obviously talked about a lot on this show, because now we have something to write on it too. But I just mentioned, I think there's a real chance they could go 4-0 here. Like if they win tonight, then you're talking about 3 straight home games, 2 of which are against really bad teams. And they're starting to trend in the right direction.
Tomorrow night.
Right, sorry, tomorrow night. If they win tomorrow night against the Hawks, then after that they have 3 straight home games. And again, like things seem to be headed in the right place for them. They've beaten some really good teams. Like, just get through to tomorrow night and Friday, and like if you just win those 2, I feel pretty confident against the Thunder and the Rockets, especially if Jaylen Brown comes back, which would fit into the window when if he should be back absolutely by those games. So if that's if we're to believe that window they gave us at all. So because I think at that point, let's see, it's been 8 days now. By the time the Thunder Celtics game rolls around, it will have been 12, 13, whatever it will have been. So that, it's at the nearing the max of that top window. So I honestly, if they win the next 4, they could be 11-7. And you're talking about a team that if they do that, then all of a sudden they're, up near the 6, or I guess I'm maybe looking at they could be up to 5-6 range in the Eastern Conference. Like even as high as you could be looking at 4, depending on.
I think it's 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 or 5 or 6 based. And obviously we don't know what other teams are going to do, but totally.
So you could completely clean up, erase that slow start to the season, the rocky start, if you just, to me, beat the Hawks and the Lakers. Like, forget the other 2 after that. I know that you can't ever take days off in the NBA or take anyone lightly, but those should be wins that you have in your back pocket. You fight, you win the next 2. You're talking about all right, we're back in business.
Yeah, I think that you rattle off 4 in a row right now. I think that is that means over this stretch, then they would have been 9-2, right? That is sort of like the icing on the cake to me. Now I say, oh well, forget the bad start of the year because you actually just went on a run. This 5-2, it's a run. Hasn't really made much of a difference in the standings, right? All of a sudden now we're talking about, adding almost doubling your win total within that range. And it's like, okay, well, 11-2 through 13 games in a time where a lot of movers were going up and down the Eastern Conference here. It's kind of like, okay, well, that's real now. 5-2 to me, when you talk about recognizing it and almost getting the credit where it's due for how good they've been. You go 9-2. Now all of a sudden I'm start saying, okay, you know what? This team just turned the corner. Because they have it's undeniable at that point. And I think that would matter. I think that would turn some heads, cause some recognition. So 100%. They go 4-0 in this next 4-game stretch, which is no cakewalk. but it gets harder before it gets easier, I guess. If that like it's
Right. The
Hawks
back
Lakers.
half feels like a cakewalk. The
It
first
seems
half
like
is that's tough,
it
but
gets granularly harder, and I know people would say the Lakers are better than the Hawks, but both teams have been
and look, I
inconsistent.
mean, guess what? Yeah, the Hawks right now are worse than you. The Hawks are 6-9 right now, so they were
Not
a
at
playoff
home though.
team
That's the
last
thing.
year.
They're two.
Yeah,
They're like it's so weird. They're a completely different team. That's
yep.
why I think that.
They're
Go
five and
ahead.
one at home. You're right. You're 5-1 at home, 1-8 on the road.
That's
Is what
why I
we
think
do.
that means more than like a Lakers win. That's all. That's only the point I'm making. So I think that it's like
Yep.
Hawks, Lakers, then Thunder, Rockets in
But
order.
guess what? Yeah, the Celtics are a better team on the road than they are at home right now, anyway. So
That's a fair point. You're right. Yeah, 100% fair point. But that's just kind of my mindset. So like I'm eager for Hawks game, and I'm still gonna be eager. I think I would say I would love all these wins, but like it sounds corny. One game at a time. Beat the Hawks, and you now are on your way of doing the rest. And it's almost like you got through the hard stuff, in my opinion.
Even still, we look at these next games and we say two tough teams: Hawks and
Mhm.
Lakers. That is tough.
Yep.
You're talking about the Hawks are 6-9, the Lakers are 8-7. So like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, based on what we know about these teams, like based on the past and their like a little bit of history, at least for the Hawks, very little bit of history, we assume these teams are good and we think
Right.
they'll turn it around. But we assume the same things about the Celtics.
It's
So
true.
like they should be able to compete in these games, and I would hope to see them win the next two. We will find out if that happens, and if it does, I'm telling you, 4 in a row is going to happen. And as long as Jayson Tatum does not shoot 38% from three in those games, I'll be very happy. Ev, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
No final thoughts. Again, if you are just tuning in, or if you're just filtering in here, we do have two open bets
Outstanding
here.
bets. Outstanding bets.
One is against the two of us. The other one's just your bet with the chat, which I don't know if you bargained your way there. I feel like you could have like who gets the opposite side if they don't.
I had to. Well, it's for the donations. Every time someone makes a big donation,
100% right. You're right.
I make the bet with the chat. So,
100%. You're right. So there you go. But so the Celtics need to be 10-10 after 20 games. Which after 5-2 now, it started to look a lot better for you. Or you eat a ghost pepper.
Yeah, it's a ghost pepper, right?
And if the if over the next 4 games, Jayson Tatum is not averaging over the next 4 games, so within that time span, 45% from the field and 38% from 3 at least on both those numbers.
Right.
I'm wearing a Sixers jersey on stream here, and then also for a post-game stream, which I don't even know how that dynamic's going to work.
Right. And if the opposite happens, I'd wear the Sixers jersey. So it's funny because it's kind of like I'm hedging my bet, right? It's like, all right, the Celtics will do good, and they'll get back to this record. But if Jayson Tatum struggles and they don't do
good,
Ghost
then Pepper Simmons jersey.
You have to wear Ben Simmons jersey, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is funny, but I feel like both could still happen. It could still work out for both of those. It's funny because the next 2 games are vital to that 10-10 bet as well. Because if they lose the next 2, which we both think are tough, like then they're 7-9. It's like 10 doesn't look a lot worse. So we'll see.
Get interesting.
Yeah, these next 2 are kind of pivot points for the season. I don't think the season will make a break over the next 2, but mini pivot points for them. This is a little bit of prove it. All right, you're playing well, back to 500.
Yep.
Get over 500 now. Get over 500 and prove that you're a solidified playoff team and maybe capable of being even more than that.
Yeah, get over 500 and prove that you can kind of stay there. So right. I couldn't agree more with what you just said. I agree.
All right, thank you guys for watching. As always, Celtics Power Hour every Tuesday. We'll say, why not every Tuesday? Whatever, it might not be every Tuesday, but right now it's been every Tuesday, so we'll say that for now, and we'll probably be back next Tuesday. Probably we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for watching. As always, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want me to do something stupid, do a super chat in the next episode or at the end here. Maybe I'll do something stupid. But we appreciate you guys showing the love as always. And be sure to check out the post-game stream tomorrow with Ev, which is going to be the Hawks one and then the Lakers one. Ev, you lucked out for now. You got away with it because the Lakers is in Boston. So the Lakers are in Boston, so that stream will be a little early. But those late ones are coming. Those late,
I know, KJ. Those are the bane. Oh man, those are tough.
Early December, you're gonna have 5 straight post-game streams that are gonna go past midnight. 5.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Straight.
Love to do it.
December 3rd, that one will start 11:30, but it'll probably go past midnight. December 4th, that game starts at 10, so you'll be probably looking at a 12:30 start there. 12:30 start against the Lakers on the 7th. Probably looking at a 1 a.m. No, not well. Actually, 1 a.m. start. Yeah, it could be 1 a.m. start on December 8th. And about a 12:30 start December 10th. So yeah, rough. Get your naps in, Ev. Get your naps in now and on those days.
Oh man. Hey, it'll be all right.
All right, guys. Be sure to tune in for those. We appreciate it as always. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you.